14:55. Way to go for Kilrea at 14:02. 14:02. Can you? This is early September, and he ran 14:02. Howdy ho, everybody. Mike Newman, Monday Morning Finish Line. September 11th. We wanted to start out with the finish of that 3A boys race at the first of the Finish Invitational. Wowzers. When did I think that Kilrea was going to run close to 14 minutes? When he came by 2 miles in 9:20, and he wasn't missing a beat. There was no strain in his, and there was a little bit of a strain in his face, but his arm carry and his legs, his stride was basically the same way it was at the mile. I mean, when you go, if you hadn't heard, Danny Kilrea, Lyons Township, 14:02.3 at first of the finish, 3A race. I mean, he went up 4:39, 4:40 at the mile, 9:20, 9:21 at 2 miles, and 14:02. So he was just clicking. He didn't break Clayton Mendez. He had to do what he had to go with him. He had to see what was going to happen. He didn't break. He didn't do any kind of surges or anything like that. He just continued to run pace, and it was a pace that Mendez couldn't handle, or anybody in that field. It's like, here's Kilrea, here's the rest of the state right now. 14:02.3, if you didn't read my recap, that's the best time at Detweiler Park ever during a regular season invitational. You know, when we get to November, when everybody's in peak shape for state, there have been faster times, obviously. But just an amazing finish. I caught up with Danny after the race, and this is what he had to say.
It's definitely in my head. Just obviously seemed logical. After just like a summer training block, I just knew that I wanted to put out my fitness and what I have right now. And last week definitely asserted my confidence.
You haven't really done. It's basically all strength work right now.
Mm-hmm. Nothing's been crazy, and I think I can title that to just all the workouts I did in track season that are starting to carry over now, even seeing an effect that I wish I'd saw earlier. But just between that and then having a nice summer training, nothing really crazy, just keeping it consistent has really put me in a spot where I want to be.
Okay. So, looking at what he's been doing workout-wise, thanks to Mike Danner for doing that. I told him I wasn't going to say anything about the workouts he's doing, but it's base tempo work, it's strength work, and you can see that. You can see that with that race. I mean, there was so that's all I'm going to say about Danny. He's I don't think he's going to be running next week at Minooka, Culver Academy. So you Indiana Hoosiers, take a look at Kilrea in a few weeks at Culver Academies. So let's go through each of the races and summarize. Team-wise in the 3A race, now Downers Grove North didn't have Ritterhoff. He was ACTing. You had Matt Moravec, who tweaked something or was sick, or I don't know. They didn't. Coach Sipple didn't go into specifics or anything like that, and then that was it. You had two runners. Christensen and Chudzik were a little bit under the weather. They weren't feeling great. They were coming off of colds, flus. It's going around right now. So, and they still ended up winning. I was thinking right after the race, ranking wise, do we move Nequa there? And Vandersteen's like, no, don't. So, Downer South, I mean, they had 17 seconds on their first three guys. You put those other two guys in there, I'm betting the split is about 23 seconds. They don't race again until Twilight, Naperville Twilight meet. Ooh, it's going to be a great race between them and all those other schools down or south looked good. And Hinsdale Central too. Hinsdale Central last week, Jim Westfall was complaining, oh, they had a 30-second split between 4 and 5. Well, they had an overall split of 30 seconds and they got second. Keep an eye on Hinsdale Central. Great team. Girls side, now Anieva Michelin of Evanston. I mean, she starts the year out, my PR was 18:24. Okay, let's just drop it to 17:20. Okay, let's go to Detweiler and run 16:45. So, boy, that confidence that she got after USATF Junior Olympics, it's growing and it's growing. Can she get close to Katelynne Hart? We're going to talk about Katelynne Hart in a few minutes. We'll see. But 16:40, it was 16:48, I think it was, and then Sarah Schmidt pushed the pace towards the end there. 16:51. Alex Morris was 16:57. So you had 3 girls under 17 minutes in that race. This early in the year, that's pretty good. And the conditions, I mean, it really warmed up in the afternoon. It was about 75, 76 degrees. I looked at my phone before the start of the race. And plus the fact that course was so dry, so hard, it needs a little bit of rain to soften it up to get rid of the dust, but there was just dust flying anywhere. After I talked to Danny, I asked the LT guys, I'm like, so guys are complaining about the dust, what would you want better, what we had last year? And before I could say this year, they're like, this year or this year. So the conditions in the morning were pretty good. Team-wise, Naperville North didn't have Hannah Ricci, who would have been up there with Morris, and they still won with 81 points. Nice pack between 3, 4, 5. I think it was like 6 or 7 seconds split. And then Yorkville. And then Downers Grove South, nice pack. Edwardsville, they're the real deal. They're pretty good. And then it went on from there. Hinsdale Central. And then Barrington. And Jocelyn Long in the top 10, along with Molly Fitzpatrick. Interesting to say the least. I'm waiting. Halftime of the Packers. It's a doubleheader today. The Bears, Packers, and the Seahawks. What a great game. A lot of punting. And Russell Wilson Jr. III isn't doing anything either. So what the heck. So back to cross country. 2A. So the ACT testing took over because no Grace McLaughlin. I think she may be injured. Have to check with her coach. Jacob Gebhardt wasn't there. Sterling, wondering if he was taking ACTs. Wyatt McIntyre, I know he was taking ACTs. I heard from Athens about that. I think it was his dad that told me at the meet. Noah was running for Athens. And then I think that was about it. 2A boys, Austin Ohm of Indiana Christian, real deal, ran about 14:57, 14:58, got second, because Matt Rickman, who has a great finish, he said after, I talked to him afterwards, he's like, I really don't want to rely on my kick. I know I have a good kick, but I don't want to rely on it every time at the end. So you may see him doing different strategies to push, in the next month or so, trying different things out and see what works great. But he's, between him and Gebhardt and Jack Becker from Crystal Lake South, and I'd even have to throw Stephen Porton, who got 3rd or 4th, and that was his first race back from a calf injury. Porton gets rolling. I think the senior from Sycamore is going to do some pretty good things. Team-wise, Normal University in 2A boys. Back, they moved up. They moved up nicely. Shuckman got 8th. Different strategy, trying different things out. They won pretty easily. Danville had a nice pack. That was about it. 2A girls, jeez, 2A girls, I'm telling you, I believed in Dunlap, but Mike, you had them ranked number 2 in the state. Read my preview at the beginning of the year. I had 3 teams, 1A, 1B, 1C. And then it became so close. I mean, the rating points, the speed rating points, Belvidere North ran a great race at Sycamore. But Dunlap on Saturday just blew me away. And I love pack running. I just love pack running, and they displayed it. Through 2 miles, they were together. They kind of accordioned out. But when you have a freshman, Campbell Peterson was second. And then they had 5 runners in the top 14. And then her 6th runner was 22nd. So what can we say about Dunlap? When the rankings come out, they're going to be number 1 and 2A. They're a good team. Don't shortchange Belvidere North either. They had to get their runners up there, and the thing that Dunlap did is they got Peterson in between Gianna Sagona, and Madison Dirks, who ran a fantastic race, winning that race. All the top runners. Jenna Schwartz seemed to be a little bit down after the race, but she ran a great race. She didn't have a kick at the end, but it's the beginning of September. You're not supposed to have a real good kick. If you have a kick at the beginning of the year, or an all-out sprint, then you're doing something different in your training. So Dirks, and then Shanice Garbett of Danville, 5:52 at the mile. She's back like 30th. She's way back, and she finishes 3rd, coming in with Campbell. So maybe a little bit, her coach was saying maybe a little bit change of strategy, getting into the hunt a little bit earlier, but she moved beautifully the last 2 miles. She had a lot left. But Madison Dirks ran a great race. But back to Belvidere North. Belvidere North, they needed to get their 3rd runner in front of the pack, and they almost did. It was Sabrine Elder. No, Sydney Elder is the freshman, so it's the other Elder, the elder. But Belvidere North had 4 runners in the first 17. So their 4th runner, 17th place, is close to Dunlap. So their 5th run, the problem was their 5th runner. I think there was a sophomore, I didn't see her, I don't know if she's injured. She didn't run a great race at Crystal Lake South. Olivia, I can't pronounce the last name, but Olivia, sophomore. Their 5th runner, Mia Rodriguez, was backing around 50, 60, somewhere in there. So I can tell you the Blue Thunder is not going to win state with that kind of a pack, and they know it, and they know it's the beginning of September. So 1A, Rock Falls. I didn't have them on my radar. It was one of those teams to watch. It wasn't in the top 25, but we don't know. You can't rate freshmen. You don't know how they're going to perform unless it's somebody like Katelynne Hart last year, where you knew she had this resume club running in junior high, middle school. That was, I'm like, keep an eye on Katelynne Hart. The national people are like, oh yeah, right. Yeah. Rock Falls, 3 sophomores, 2 freshmen. They're young, and they destroyed the field. They won by about 80 points ahead of Eureka and Williamsville. Williamsville was ranked number 3. So Rock Falls looked pretty good. Boys side, Dawson Smith, 2 years in a row for a Rock Falls runner to win it. And, I mean, it wasn't dramatic. He just pulled away, beat Jackson Stewart from Decatur St. Teresa by 12 seconds. Elmwood Brim, basically the same top 3 finish at Canton the week before with Elmwood Brimfield. Elmwood Brimfield and Athens switched places. Athens didn't have Wyatt McIntyre. Would have been a lot closer and may have changed around a little bit. And Deer Creek Mackinac was 3rd. So, what can you say on that? So then the other big time, Katelynne Hart, are you kidding me? Here again, whatever she does doesn't surprise me. She runs 16:08.9 at Lake Park. Now, out of all the courses in the state that you could compare times to, that is the closest one because it's a very similar course. You have some inclines and all of that. except you finish on a track. Detweiler was as hard as a track yesterday. So, Katelynne Hart runs 16:08. Judy Pendergrass ran at her conference meet. She ran 16:05. Now, going back through the history with Flanagan and Madeline Perez and Lindsey Graham, those times, it's usually within the next few weeks, if you're running at Detweiler, it's about 8 to 10 seconds faster at Detweiler compared to Lake Park. So Pendergrass ran 16:05 at her conference meet. 3 weeks later, she runs 15:53.8. And we all know what happened there. So is Hart going to be the second runner to go under 16 next week? We don't want to set up expectations or anything like that. But running 16:42 as a rust buster at Hinsdale, and then that 16:08, and I mean, Lindsay Payne ran 17:26 this early in the year. That's pretty good, and she was just here again. Hart, the rest of the state. So Glenbard West still is working on that 4-5. But they went 1-2-3. They beat York. York had a nice little pack. Sarah May, Emma Kern. Nice pack. Boys side, can't really give you a judgment on what happened there. Huntley won, but they had a timing problem, so the time stopped after 15th place, so I can't say, well, their split was good or anything like that. Jared Conroy, individual winner in that race. What time is it? Oh, well, we're starting the second half. Joliet Central Steelman Invitational, debut for York. York usually debuts at Peoria Notre Dame. Last year, they decided, well, you know what, we need an opening race. Now Plainfield South beat them, 40-42. York had a 4-runner split. Plainfield South had a great split too. York had a 4-runner split of 16 seconds. They didn't have Jackson Bodie, who's been running as their number 3 runner. They didn't have Charlie Kern. So let's see what happens next week at the finish at Richard Spring. There's going to be some great teams there and all of that. So 2 point Charlie Senior sends me a text right after the race. I'm in Peoria. I'm running out to the out from the starting line. Walking up to the starting line, and he's like, we got beat by Plainfield South, you have to drop us in the rankings. I haven't really looked at the rankings yet, so we'll see. And then the other meet that I wanted to talk about, Lancer Invitational, Lee Hellberg Invitational, Mundelein. They're a young team, 1 senior, I think juniors and sophomores. They beat Muhammad Seymour 29-49. It's a different Muhammad Seymour team than last year. But Mundelein ran them basically man for man, 5 runners in the first 9. We're the real deal. We'll have to see where they were ranked. They went from 17 to 7. And we'll have to see how their times rate out and figure out where they're going to be. But they're going to probably rise. It's interesting, 3A boys, very interesting, 3A girls. Not really much is going to change there. What was the other thing? 2A girls, we know there's going to be a change there. 2A boys, don't know yet. Haven't looked. And 1A, haven't seen the results yet from DePaul. Harvest Christian ran there. But there could be a shakeup in 1A. In 1A girls, there's definitely a shakeup. With all the ACT testing, I saw the meet at Paxton, Buxton, Loda. And I know St. Joseph Ogden didn't run all their runners because ACT testing, and the same thing with Tolona Unity. So you really can't judge that. Next week, Tolona goes to Tuscola, and St. Joe Ogden goes to Detweiler. And they usually split their team up. They keep the freshmen down, they keep the varsity. They split that up. So it'll be interesting. Fun weekend. A little bit under the weather last night, didn't drink enough Didn't drink enough water. Drank a lot of Gatorade, but in the middle, when they had the break between the Open and the varsity, I paid for it. And today is 9/11. It's September 11th. I know some of you weren't born yet. Some of you may vaguely remember it. Parents that watch us, you can remember it. All I remember on that day, I had the day off, and my two boys, it was their first day of school, and it was a new school for them. And went grocery shopping. We're in line, and the clerk has a TV on. She's like, I can't believe that plane ran into the World Trade Center. And got home, and I'm not thinking anything of it. I didn't have the radio on in the car. Got home, bringing the groceries in, and turning on the TV, and there it is. So, MTV is playing the news at the time. ESPN had news on, and everybody in the United States was numb and revengeful because they wanted revenge on whoever did that. So, it's with everything that's going on in the world right now, and a few of you are going, oh God, Newman's going to talk about politics again. We want to hear about running. We have to remember those things because anything's possible. And with our leadership, lack of leadership, whatever you want to call it, and what's going on at North Korea and with the Russians, who knows? So, and we have that, and the storms that are going. We can't forget about Houston, and what's going on in Florida right now. It's, the eye is hitting Florida, and it's affecting everywhere in Florida. So, say a little prayer for the people in Houston who are recovering now, and recovering. Their football team played pretty bad today, and pray for Florida. We'll give you, at the end, we'll give you a place where you can, if you want to make a donation to the Red Cross, you can do that. And that would be a cool thing. So, that's it. Next weekend, Richard Spring invite, and the Katelynne invite on the boys' side. Warren has a meet. Manuka, it's a flight meet. So, it just keeps going. Love cross country season. And it's supposed to be 80. What's going on with the weather? I'm not complaining because it's going to be snowing and 30 degrees at Detweiler in November. So hopefully not. So that's it. Everybody hydrate this week because it's going to get warm. And keep your heart open. That's about it. So until the next time that we talk. This is Mike Newman from Monday Morning.